Greetings and välkommen! I'm KatherineOfSky and I hope to make your day refreshingly Swedish. So today we're going to be cooking a wonderful recipe that is both easy, you can cook a lot of it at a time, and you don't have to do much dishes. We're going to use one pot and one mixing thingy, and it's easy. All right, so here are our ingredients. We have three. Yes, a grand total of three of them. Let's start off with the chicken. I have chosen chicken tenders because they're really juicy, but you can use chicken breast or you can use kind of any meat you want, really. It just depends what you're in a mood for. And of course, the quantity is just going to depend on how many people are dining, whether you are a single person or a family, or if you want to make leftovers and all that kind of stuff. So then the next thing is going to be, we need broccoli. Now this is frozen broccoli, but you can add fresh broccoli if you prefer. In general, the frozen broccoli is usually a little bit more, I guess, processed just by virtue of freezing. So you're going to have to cook the regular broccoli a little bit longer if you use fresh broccoli. And then we have ramen noodles. I've got 3 packets here of ramen noodles, and it doesn't matter what kind you're choosing. Now these are hot chicken. In the US, my mom really didn't like hot stuff, so we would just buy regular chicken noodles. You can also use beef if you like the beef flavoring. The thing here is we are going to use the flavor packets to season our chicken and the entire dish. So choose a flavor that you enjoy. Now, one thing you're going to need for this is kind of a large pot for mixing all this together. Now we're going to turn on the temperature here to about, I don't know, like 6 or 7. And this is an induction stove, by the way. So I've put some oil, just olive oil in here. You can mix it with butter if you want more flavor and stuff like that. This is a 5-liter pot, but of course you can use something smaller or bigger, just depending on your needs. All right, so the first thing we're going to want to do is prepare these chicken tenders. Now, I always like to cut off these tendons here if we possibly can. So I'm just going to put those to the side. So we'll just prepare these. Make sure to use a very sharp knife. I have recently gifted myself some knives, and they are very sharp. But yeah, I also have some into the sharpener so that those can get sharpened as well. But these are, we are seeing absolutely no issues in cutting through this. I think I should have worn sleeves that are a little bit shorter for this because they are threatening to get into this entire process here. Okay, you go there. Okay, I like to cut, just do one thing at a time. So I'm cutting the tendon parts off, and then afterwards I'm going to cut the chicken into the sizes that are needed. So let's get this one. We only have 2 pieces left, so no big deal. And we'll get this over here. Okay, good. And make sure you have your pot warming up because we're going to want to sear this chicken when we put it in. So that's kind of important. And the pot has to be pretty hot for that to happen. And oil is a really good medium for doing that. So let's go ahead and get this chicken sliced. You can slice it kind of in whatever sizes you want. There we're cutting it like, 1 centimeter wide, something like that. Make sure that they're pretty consistent in general so that the cooking chicks properly. The chicken cooks evenly when we put it into the pot. Now, if you want to, you can also, cook your chicken in a pan and then put it into the pot later. That is also fine. I just like to have a 1-pot recipe, so I don't have to do a lot of dishes. And yes, I do have a dishwasher, but I don't know. Sometimes it's just like, oh, I don't want to bother with all these different like bowls and plates and cups and whatever. So this is a super, super easy recipe for that. Oopsies. Go over there, please. Thank you. All right, good. Okay, great. Done. Now, one thing that I should have mentioned earlier is that with these packets of ramen noodles, I don't like to eat them with long noodles. So I take them and I crush them against the side of the counter. I really don't like the whole process of stringing noodles, people are like, oh yeah, you just twirl them around. Well, you're twirling for eternity because one leads to another, you know? But anyway, let's go ahead and crush these up. In fact, these feel like a little bit smaller than the bricks of noodles that I am accustomed to. So I might add one more to this whole thing. Okay. I always have plenty of ramen about the house just for fast cooking. But yeah, if you use the heel of your hand against, you know, put the noodle here on the corner of the counter and just, you know, hit it, just press against it with your, you know, with your bones and do a straight motion. It shouldn't hurt at all, and it gets stuff crushed really quickly. So anyway, let's open up one of these. Oh gosh, it's already getting all over the counter. Must have had a tiny hole in it, or we made a hole. So what we're going to want to do is out of each of these, take out all of the packets of seasoning, because we're going to season the chicken with that. I think it's really important to use the seasoning, at least one packet of seasoning on the chicken, and then the rest can go into the broth. The pot is really very hot right now, so this is a perfect time to put in our chicken. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's put it in here. And the idea is to sear it so that the pores of the chicken close up. And let's get ourselves some kind of spoon here. All right, looking good. So yeah, the pores of the chicken are going to close up as it's getting seared, and you'll notice the edge is starting to turn white as we see right now, and that means that it's going to lock. It's going to kind of form a hard crust on one side of the chicken, and it's going to lock in the moisture on that side. So it looks like it's almost completely seared here. I think I'm going to grab a spatula instead here to be able to kind of get this stuff and like literally turn them over. You always want to make sure that you can sear both sides of the chicken. Actually, I learned this morning from a person at the cooking shop. I got this pan. So normally I would use a pot that is non-stick. And I was like, do you have a non-stick? Oh, I just sold the last one. And I'm like, oh no. But then she's like, you know, I see a lot of chefs come in here and they sear the chicken. And the trick is with this chicken that you don't move it until it's cooked, until there's a seared point. And then it won't stick to the pan. And I'm like, wow, you know, I've never tried that. So this is actually brand new information. I have never tried it before today, but it sure works. Nothing is sticking to the pan at all. It is very nicely cooking here. I'm very pleased with how this is going. So what we're wanting to do is cook this chicken a little bit. I'm going to turn down the temperature a little bit here, not too much. But yeah, we're looking for this to get seared. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in the spice. I probably should have done that earlier, but it's okay. It doesn't really matter. We're just going to mix this all together anyway. So there we go. We're going to let that cook a little bit, and then we're just going to kind of mix it around, mix that spice in there. And then we're going to set this aside for a tiny bit while we do all the other steps. Now the next thing that we're going to want to do is figure out how much broccoli we need. I kind of tend to use about the same amount of broccoli as we have chicken. Maybe we'll use like about a half a bag here. So this is 800 grams. So like maybe a half a bag. Let's just take this out of the bag and see if that looks like enough, because we don't need to measure a lot of stuff here. Now, if you look at this, you can see this is kind of floppy. That's just usually because it's been frozen. And that's why I said earlier that when you have frozen stuff, you're going to have to cook it a lot less. Now, I don't really like the broccolis that big, so we're going to take a knife and just chop them a bit. And unfortunately, I asked for a grocery delivery this morning, just stuff that I can't get in my local shop. And I forgot to wake up early enough. So a lot of the stuff like defrosted, the chicken tenders defrosted and the broccoli defrosted. So if you take this out of the freezer, it's going to be a little bit less defrosted than that. But That's okay. We're just gonna process it and go pretty well. Now, if you like big pieces of broccoli, by all means keep them big. But I kind of like them to spread out through the whole dish. And yeah. But this recipe is, again, it's like what you prefer. Do you want broccoli? Do you want corn? How much broccoli do you want? I remember my mom just loved broccoli. I'd rather have more chicken or more of the noodles. That was what I liked. So anyway, here we go. We have all this stuff. That looks pretty okay. It's a little bit more than the chicken right now. I'm gonna get a couple more pieces. Oh, that's a big piece. Maybe not that piece. Just all frozen together here. Actually, we can take a couple pieces off of this. There we go. Is that enough? Yeah, that kind of looks like enough. All right, I'm gonna put the rest of this back in the bag, and then we are going to do multiple things in the next step. All right, so the next part of the process involves some reading. All right, so firstly, put your chicken back on the burner, and we're going to turn up the heat. I'm also going to push the chicken toward the sides of the pot, okay? Just keep it on the outskirts of this pot. Now, the next part of this involves some reading. You're going to want to see like how much is required of the water, okay? And what you want to do is you want to take this amount and cut it in half. So since we have 4 bags of noodles, as you can see over there, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times 300 is 1,200. So we want to do 600 milliliters of water. Now the reason for that is we're not making soup. We are making a chicken dish. So what we want to do is have the water inflate the noodles but not create a broth. Okay, so what I've done here is I have added 600 milliliters of water. I don't know if you can see that very well here. But what we also want to do now is we want to add all of the rest of the seasoning and spices into this, just your cup. There we go. And then you can mix it around. This is the spoon we were using earlier. So there we go. That's our spoon. Very good. And now we're going to want to put in the noodles and spread them kind of on the bottom of the pan here. Okay. You can kind of push them down. Basically, you want them to be as close to the bottom as possible because this liquid needs to kind of fill this area. And there we go. Okay, it's actually looking pretty good. Now, I've not made this here in Sweden before, so I'm not really used to the numbers, but usually it's like half the amount they say. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing down some of the clumps of noodles so that they are all in the water. Very important there. Okay, great. So now the important part to do next is you add the broccoli. Now what we're wanting to do here is I'm going to turn up the temperature here to 9. And what we want to do is get this to boil because the noodles are not going to accept water until they're boiling. Now we have the broccoli, and what you want to do is gently place the broccoli on top because we want the noodles to absorb the water, but if you displace the noodles, they'll come out of the water. So you want to gently put the broccoli on top. Immediately I feel like, oh my gosh, did we add enough broccoli? Maybe not. I don't know. But you know what? This is the first time I'm making this here. I'll learn better for next time, but it looks enough for me. It's fine. So there we go. You can see that it's already starting to boil, I hope. And so then we're going to set a timer for noodles. So normally ramen noodles, I don't know, it's usually 3 to 4 minutes. So we're going to get out our chicken timer. Say hello to chicken. Hey, hey. Anyway, we're going to just put a timer on these noodles for something like maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. And that will give us enough time for the broccoli to be happy and start to also cook and get a little bit softer. So we're going to put the lid on this pan to do that, and we'll wait till the chicken rings. All right, so there goes our friendly neighborhood chicken timer. Now, I'm not sure if you can see this or not. There is a lot of steam coming out here. And to recap, that's exactly what we're trying to do with the broccoli here, okay? Oh, and also I probably should have turned it down just a tiny bit. So effectively what we've done here is steam this broccoli like you might do for, steamed rice, steamed broccoli, that kind of thing. So we're cooking it by steaming. It's not meant to be boiled. And afterwards, we're going to mix this all together. And it is sticking a little bit to the bottom of the pan. I definitely should have turned down that heat. And I'm going to turn it off entirely right now because it's ready. Yes, just a couple of steps here and it's actually ready. Now, if we're looking at this combination here, I think we could have had a little bit more broccoli or maybe a little bit less noodles, 3 instead of 4. I was a little bit worried when I looked at it, but it's hard to say because, I mean, if you want a noodle dish, there's a lot of noodles in here. That can be great too. So what we're going to do is just spoon it out into one of my favorite bowls. I've got these lovely like octopus squid bowls. Oh my God, they're great. I do like the shape though. They're pretty great because I haven't had dinner yet. So here we go. This is going to be my dinner for this evening and I want to kind of tell you what it tastes like. So let's go. All right, before we get to eating this wonderful food, there's one more thing I wanted to say about the cooking is if you find that you have ended up with a little bit too much water, what you can do is take off the lid and let the steam kind of come out. If it's a lot of water, then you can just tip the pan sideways and scoop it out with a spoon into the sink. But overall, you really shouldn't have too many problems with that, I hope. Sometimes broccoli releases a lot of water, so there is that issue. But just take a lot of care measuring the amount that the ramen says and cut it by half. And usually that will get you to the end result. So let us try this food here. Now, it's not very decorative, and in general, because of the seasoning, you get these kind of like really yellow noodles, but that doesn't really matter. What matters is the taste. So let's go ahead and taste this. It is actually really hot right now. So let's try a little bit of noodles. And as you see, when you pick it up, you don't have to swirl it around your fork or waste time or get a spoon as well. It just kind of comes off in nice little pieces. Hooray. This is actually pretty good. Oh, wow. That spice. Whoa, okay. Maybe I should have put less packets of seasoning in this. This is very, very spicy. I have had this ramen before just as noodles. I don't usually make the soup, but I do make it into like noodles, kind of like this, But I haven't actually added chicken and the broccoli here. But what this does, of course, is give you a nice amount of protein and also your veggie daily serving, which is nice. Let's taste this here, the chicken. Hopefully it came out good. And also, the boiling does help the chicken like completely cook through. So it's a really nice way of cooking chicken. Yeah, that is really good. One thing that I would have changed when I was making this recipe, I added the spicing for the chicken a little bit too late. I should have added it, maybe even put it in the bowl and mixed it around with my hands before I added the chicken into the pot. So that would be an improvement you could make. Or when you first put the chicken into the pot, remember I added the seasoning after I already flipped them over because I can actually taste on the chicken here that like one side is spicy and the other isn't. So that's a little bit of a strange thing, but overall it's pretty good. That's really good. Really tasty. And this kind of a meal with all these noodles and stuff, you get plenty of carbs for your for energy levels. You get your protein with the chicken and you get the broccoli. Feel free to add anything you want. If you love carrots, add some carrot pieces. If you like corn, that's another really easy one from the frozen section. Just pour in some corn if you like. This is a really versatile recipe and you can use it with any kind of meat you desire, pork or beef, shrimp, anything you want. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this. Again, we had how many dishes to wash? We washed a spoon, spatula. I mean, we're really getting into the nitty gritty here. The one pot and then the cup, right? The measuring cup. But yeah, that's easy peasy. And yeah, just toss them all into the dishwasher and you're good. I hope you have enjoyed this episode of Easy Cooking with Catherine in Sweden. I don't have a name for my cooking show yet. If you have any ideas, let me know. Maybe it doesn't need a name, but yeah, I'm really excited about cooking different things for you and what ingredients we can find in Sweden. So thank you so very much for joining me. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you next time.
Vabbè, aspetta, ma no, alla confezione